Hello, welcome back to my channel. It's Sakina from mybrownsparkles.com. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm excited to do this video because it'll be the first time that I'm actually doing a video of this type. If you visited my website, you may have noticed that I added a new section called Book Club. The book club is filled with books that I have read numerous times. Many of them I've read multiple times, and they have basically helped me on my life journey, understanding the meaning of my life and how I want to proceed with my life moving on into the future. They've helped shape who I am, and they help me continue to grow as a person. So I continue to add books to this list, and the next book that I'll be adding to this list will be Blackout by Candace Owens. So if you are not familiar with Candace Owens, Candace is a political commentator and influencer, and she runs a nonprofit political business called Blackout, and Blackout is all about getting African Americans to exit the Democratic Party. How Black America can make its second escape from the Democratic plantation, as she calls it. So I quickly learned about her through YouTube, and as I was watching a lot of her debates, I was like, wow, this woman is really smart, and she's very fiery. Like, she holds her own, and I love to see her go up against a panel of people who share opposing views, because she is able to really firmly stand in her belief, and she's not easily swayed. And I really admired that about her in the different debates that I've seen her in. So I was prompted to check out this book because I was like, well, we're in the midst of an election season, and I wanted to be sure that I was abreast on the knowledge and information that both parties are putting out there. And I think it's really important to be, as an American, to be an informed voter. So a lot of people, and even myself included growing up, as a Black woman, it was almost kind of implied that I'm a Democrat. You know, you're Black, you must be a Democrat. You have to be liberal, right? Because the liberal agenda, the Democratic agenda, is for Black people, right? Well, I began to question that as I see the community that I live in, the communities that I've lived in, continue to deteriorate. And it makes me question, like, you know, what really is going on. So that's another move that prompted me to really consider reading and learning more about what Candace Owens is proposing in her book, and more about the Republican Party, which I really never knew much about. And to be completely honest, I never knew much about the Democratic Party. But this book has truly opened my eyes to a lot of different facts that I never knew. And it makes me question why, you know, the Black community is so loyal to a party who, it seems, has been very demonstrative in destroying Black communities. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the 10 things that stood out, the 10 pieces of fact that really stood out from this book. And I have quotes, and I have references, and I have info that you can go and fact check yourself, because I think it's really important that you don't just take in someone else's opinion, that you go and you do the fact checking on your own. You listen to what they have to say, you listen to the facts that they propose, and then you go back and you do your own research. That's the beautiful thing about living in the information age, is that we all have the ability now to do our own research. We don't have to rely on the knowledge given to us by someone else's mouth. We can go and find the exact information that we need so that we can make an informed decision for ourselves, for our families, for our future. So before I get into this book review, let me go ahead and show my little outfit. I thought this was a very, like, you know, conservative book review outfit. What do y'all think? The houndstooth skirt. Love it. Gotta throw my fashion in there somewhere. Alright, so let's get into this book review. I have, as you can see, I have marked. As I read this book, I marked so much that I want to go back and fact check, or that I wanted to reference in this video. This book is a quick read. It took me about a week and a half, maybe 10 days to read it. Full of information, full of good information that I think could help you if you're planning on voting this election season. So let's start with number one when it comes to the book. In the foreword. The foreword is written by Larry Elder, who is also a political commentator. He is a self-pronounced conservative. So Black Americans' failure to take advantage of available opportunities. So this is in reference to a poll that was given to teenagers at school, and they asked white teenagers and they asked black teenagers, you know, how do you feel racism affects you, and what do you think is the biggest challenge in the black community, and that sort of thing. And the black students, a lot of them mostly said that Black Americans' failure to take advantage of available opportunities is the reason for their own personal failures. And I have to say I agree with this, because I do think that we live in a land full of opportunities. Yes, our ancestors, my ancestors, went through a lot to get to where we are today. However, I think that we continue to ride the backs of their oppression while denouncing the opportunities that lay in front of us. And when I say that, I say that we have access to education more readily now than ever. You don't have to go to school to learn things. There's the internet, there's courses online, there's free courses online. You can learn so much. It really just comes down to how you use your time, how you spend your time, and you know, that's what's going to be the fruit of your labor. So if you spend all day watching music videos and playing video games, don't expect to have what this person over here has, who's been working, you know, after their job. They go home and they study. They're learning how to code, or they're learning how to do robotics, or they're learning how to manage a business so that they can be business owners, or they're running their own business. Like, you can't expect the same outcome from someone who's actually been putting in the work towards valuable things. So I think that's something that's big, and I think that people in general, and I won't say just black people, I'll say anyone who feels that they're oppressed or they lack advantages or opportunities, that they should maybe focus on what is available. Is there volunteer work that's available? Is there extracurricular activities that are available? What is available to you now? Whatever that is, do it now, because it will lead to more doors opening in the future. But you kind of have to show the universe and God, you have to show God, you know, that you want more, you know, not that you say you want more, but what are you doing to actually show and prove that you want more? Number 2, the number 1 cause of death for young black men is homicide by another black man. This is also in the foreword on page 18, written by Larry Elder. I'm not sure if this statistic is true, but I wonder, you know, if this statistic were true, why are we not protesting that? Why are we protesting cops killing black people, as opposed to black people killing black people, or black people assaulting other black people? That's something that I think, you know, I would, if this statistic is true, then why are we not focusing on that? You know, why don't we turn that attention back to ourselves and look and see what's really happening in our communities and address it, and stop trying to sweep it under the rug. Point number 3. So on page 8, this is actually in the book, not the foreword, I noticed that she referenced a Trump speaking event in Diamondala, Michigan. Diamondala. I hope I'm saying that right. Basically, it was a campaign stop in Michigan that occurred on August 19th in 2016. And Candace watched, and she said she could not help but feel compelled to agree with everything that Trump was saying at that rally. So I earmarked it, and I want to go back and reference it, and I did, and I watched it today right before filming this video. And if you want to go back and watch this campaign trip or this campaign stop, you can definitely watch it. I have linked it below. And he begins speaking about black issues and why he wants the black vote at timestamp 8:24. So remember that. It's all below in the description box. So basically, I'll just go ahead and go down the list of the things that he references in this particular speech. He basically says that children in failing schools can't attend the school of their choice, and this is one of his campaign topics. Like, he's basically saying that if you vote for me, that I will make it so that if your child is attending a failing school, that they can go to any school district to get the education that they need. Who doesn't want that for their child? I currently live and work in an area that has the #1 school district in the state of Texas, and so it is very competitive for families to try to get their child into the school district. However, one of the proponents of getting your child in the school district is that they have to live within that zip code. So I often see families living in smaller apartments or I see families moving to the area or getting addresses in the area just so their child can attend this school district, because there's so many opportunities for, you know, for their child. So that was just one of Trump's promises to the black community if they voted for him in 2016. Another thing that Trump claims is he says that the Democratic policies have produced poverty, failing schools, and broken homes in the black community. I say, where is the lie? Where is the lie? Candace goes more into detail on how this happens and the different policies that are put in place that actually are detrimental to the black family unit. I'm big on family. I am very lucky to have come from a two-parent household. So I'm blessed that I had the stability of having both of my parents there. However, we did live in American poverty. And I call it American poverty because I've seen poverty in other countries firsthand, and it is nothing compared to American poverty. So, or I'm sorry, American poverty is nothing compared to a poverty of like a third world country, let's say. So I'm always able to put things in perspective, and I think I'm blessed that I've actually traveled outside of the country. Traveling is a big eye-opener, and it puts things in perspective for you as far as your life and the different advantages you have being an American in this society. But we're going to move on to point number 4, and this is in reference to Nathan Bradford Forrest. This conversation begins on page 16, where Candace begins to unravel the Democratic Party and its foundings. And basically I learned that the Democratic Party was founded on the KKK, based on the KKK, and it was founded to go against the Union that was happening during the Civil War. So Nathan Bradford Forrest was appointed as the Grand Wizard of the KKK, and he was a Democratic National Delegate as well. He served in the Confederate Army, and he was a general in the Confederate Army, but he was also a slave trader prior to the Army. So prior to the Army, he was a slave trader. He advanced to become a Confederate Army general during his time in service. He is rumored to be involved in the massacre at Fort Pillow, which was the massacre of over 300 black soldiers. I got this information from Wikipedia, by the way, but there were white soldiers involved, but primarily the soldiers were black that were at Fort Pillow, and they massacred 300 of them. He was born in Tennessee. Towards the end of his life, he denied KKK involvement, and he even spoke about racial equality towards the end of his life. It was hard for me to find in the Wikipedia information any reference to him being a Democrat, but then I went and I Googled some more and found visitthecapitol.gov that it stated that he was part of the Democratic Party. So there you go, Nathan Bradford Forrest, a Democratic National Delegate. So he was a member of the Democratic Party, and Candace states that in her book that they appointed him the Grand Wizard of the KKK. Number 5. On page 29, Candace speaks about her personal experiences with racism from white people. So she goes on to tell the story of how when she was younger, she got a boyfriend, and her closest male friend, who turned out to be gay, got really jealous of her new relationship with her boyfriend because she stopped spending so much time with her gay best friend because she was now spending more time with her boyfriend, and he and a group of other boys basically prank called her and started calling her all kinds of nasty racial slurs and names. Eventually she told one of her teachers, who then took it to the principal, who then did a big investigation which got the media involved, and it just had really negative implications for all of the young boys who were eventually found out. But one thing that Candace points out is that the NAACP got involved, and they basically manipulated Candace's story and her personal experience for their own selfish agenda. She was never once interviewed by the NAACP, however they took it upon themselves to kind of rage a war against that school district and against everyone involved in that racist incident. So she felt taken advantage of, she felt completely silenced, and her voice and opinions were not even considered because it had been blown out of proportion, and she felt really out of control of something that she didn't feel was that big. I thought that was really telling, and it painted a different picture of these organizations that are supposed to be helping, you know, our communities. And like, what is their real agenda? If you're not even going to consider the opinions, the thoughts, and the feelings of the person who was the victim of this crime, then what are you doing? This isn't about you. It's about her. So I thought that was very telling about how they handle situations and how the media tends to blow things out of proportion for their own personal agendas and gains. Point number 6. On page 45, there is a statistic that states that 70% of homicides are black on black crimes. I don't know how true these statistics are. I don't know where they get these statistics from. I mean, maybe they go to like, you know, like police records or something, but yeah. And this is in Chicago. So in Chicago in 2011, 21 people were shot and killed by cops. In 2015, there were 7. In Chicago, which is about 1/3 black, 1/3 white, and 1/3 Hispanic, 70% of homicides are black on black. About 40 per month, almost 500 last year. She says the idea that a racist white cop shooting unarmed black men or unarmed black people is a peril to black people is complete and total BS. So basically she's saying that the number of police brutality cases or police homicide cases against black people compared to the number of black on black homicides don't even compare. So why are we putting this one at a higher regard, or why are we paying so much attention to this one, which is a lesser number than this one, which is really the meat and potatoes, is the one we really need to be addressing. So number 7. On page 46, Candace discussed single-parent households and the repercussions of broken homes. This is referencing to Trump's speech and how he basically says this is what the Democratic Party policies have contributed to. And Larry Elder's opinion on it, basically stating that it increases the chance of criminal activity and it presents a number of economical challenges which continue to just have a snowball effect of different things that happen once you're put in that situation. Point number 8. On page 93, Candace posits that the idea of over-civilization. So basically she's saying we've come to a point in our society where everyone has been given basic rights and liberties. So now people are just trying to find anything to pick and to choose a battle on a cause to fight for, because really they have nothing else to fight for. So they're really wasting and expending energy on topics that really aren't that important and are really detrimental to society. Point number 9, we're getting close to the end, guys. So on page 102 of the book, blacks cry fear of whites, yet claim no solace in predominantly black spaces. Eek, I don't know, you know, I have felt more, I don't know. Oh, this one is a tough one. I don't really want to comment too much on it though. I think number 10 is gonna really answer a lot of questions about my opinions on number 9. Number 10, on page 151, Candace basically, she basically puts it out there what a lot of black people who are smart and educated feel and have experienced, myself included. She says smart black children are bullied for acting white. They experience racism from other blacks, They demonize academic success and intelligence. And this type of behavior fosters a culture where brighter black students must decide between wanting to be accepted by their race or performing well in their studies. And I thought this was a perfect number 10 or way to end, because I myself have experienced this in my communities. Growing up, as I mentioned, I grew up in a predominantly white community. I come from a rural town that eventually grew. After Hurricane Katrina, we saw a huge influx of African Americans who fled New Orleans, came to Texas, and a lot of them ended up in my school district. And there were a ton of fights. There was so many fights. We had riots at school because it was almost like our students, like our, Texas students against the New Orleans kids, and we had literal riots where the school principal was like, we had to shut the entire school down. Everyone was on lockdown. The school principal, like, teachers were throwing kids up against the wall. That's how bad it got. What else? Oh my God. Yeah, once I hit middle school, I was bullied for my hair. I was bullied for the way I spoke. I was told that I talked like a white girl because I knew how to actually speak proper English. That's what happens in our community. If you know how to speak proper English, if you're intelligent, if you read, you're considered white. If your hair is not chemically relaxed, you're considered a nappy-headed girl, and you're not beautiful in the Black community. Things have changed a little bit from that time, but that is what I lived. I was often bullied just because, just to get a reaction out of me. Never actually anything physical, but it's almost as if they wanted to like me. However, I didn't know how to relate to them because we just had such different backgrounds and different interests, so it was really hard for us to relate to each other. So rather than calling it bullying, I would just say picked on. I never felt completely bullied. However, there were times where I would go to the library during lunch because I knew someone was coming to start some trouble with me. And rather than face it, I would just go sit in the library because I just absolutely hated lunchtime. I hated it with a passion. I hated it. It was just like so many people who were just clamoring to be like the top dog or the most popular, and so many people were really, really rude to me. I hated high school. I really did. Nevertheless, I don't feel like it really had that much of a negative impact on me. I never really cared too much what people thought about me. I think the thing that negatively impacted me was how I really felt about myself on the inside. So, yeah, I think it's very, very important that she brought that up because that is a huge issue in our community. It's a huge issue, and I think that it keeps young African Americans from striving towards anything other than being in the entertainment industry or being an athlete. There's so much more for us than those, career fields. Like, that's such a narrow focus in our community, and I think that if we stop stigmatizing intelligence, then we would be able to take advantage of so many opportunities. And there's a lot of successful Black doctors and a lot of successful Black politicians or lawyers or just anything that's not in the world of entertainment and sports. Like, we're so much more than that. Alright, so I'm going to end this with a quote from page 152. Freedom is never more than a generation away from extinction. We don't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same. I like that quote because it basically, it goes back to the point of being accountable and self-accountability, and basically freedom is not something that's given, it's earned. You have to work for your freedom every single day. Pretty much you have to work for it, and so many people want it handed to them. So many people want handouts. It sounds nice. It sounds so great in the beginning, but when you realize you're still in the same place, it starts to look very bleak and grim. I'm at a point in my life where I'll rather work to get somewhere new, to experience what I want to experience, than to allow people to hand me things and stay in the same place. I highly recommend that you become a more informed voter or just individual before you engage in any online debates or any debates about any politics. Be sure that you know what's really truly going on either side. Take time to look at videos of different campaign speeches. Don't just go off of what the sound bites that the media feeds you, because we all know that they skew it to fit the agenda that they're pushing. Go back and do your own research. I highly recommend reading the book Blackout by Candace Owens if you're interested in opening your mind and seeing a different point of view. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed this book review. If you read the book, please comment below and let me know what was your favorite part about the book. Don't be afraid to tell me your honest opinion. You're not going to hurt my feelings. I am not going to get into any kind of political debates because I am not for either side. I am for myself and the best interest for me and my future, so I'm not choosing sides. I just want to take in as much information and have as many facts as I possibly can, and I hope that you do the same, because Thinking is free, and I really encourage you to become a critical thinker. Think for yourselves. Don't allow someone else to think for you. Gather all the information you can, all the facts you can, and then make an informed decision, because that is truly your power. And I really highly advise you to exercise that power as much as you possibly can. Freedom starts with your mind. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Don't forget to subscribe. See you guys later. Bye.